Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by the Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
Yo, what is up, everybody? It's me and myself and my friend at large here. Jay, how you doing today, man?
The biggest, the largest. I'm depressed, Gonzo. Today we wrapped up another regular season of White Sox baseball. Unfortunately, we didn't make the postseason today. Another disappointing season because I honestly had the White Sox at about 97 games this year. So I fell a little bit short.
That's okay, man. At the end of the day, most of this fan base fell short with this team. But at the end of the day, I think I can't remember.
Two end of the days.
I think you said 65 wins.
Yeah, no. In reality, it was about 65.
And I think I said 63 with OJ, and I believe Slavko had 57-ish. So Sox finished at 60 and 102, which is halfway between Slav and I. Not really too much to go off of besides winning or losing 3 straight 100+ seasons. However, there were some pluses, and let's just hit the tweets right away before we get into the all the grind of this negativity and whatnot.
I'm not being negative. You're going to sit on here and be negative.
So our friend of the show, Elijah, put this tweet out saying that the 2025 Chicago White Sox had the plus 19 wins, above average from 24, which, if you remember, right, we had a conversation about this with OJ about, how could they, make that 15 to 20 win marginalized improvement, as that's very hard. I should say hard. That's difficult. That's flat out difficult to do in a baseball season. I don't care what the record is. But the fact that they did jump that 19 win, above margin was impressive. To do that again, to make another jump from 19 plus, I wouldn't expect that, because just the difficulty of going from 60 to 80 is a lot has to go your way in order to do so, especially at this stage of where they're at right now.
Absolutely.
But again, like Elijah wrote off for us, in the second half they did go 28 and 37, but again, that 19 marginal improvement came from the surpluses of seasons above the average from a guy like Colson, a guy like Teal, Cuero, Smith, Maedra, Taylor, Vassell. 2 of those were Rule 5 picks, which you're lucky to even see one Rule 5 pick make a difference like that in the season. Sox were very fortunate to have 2, which we're not going to take anything away from them, because both of those guys are, 2 guys that you're going to have on this roster in 2026. But I won't expect them. I would expect probably half of those guys to have a regression to the mean in their seasons. but we're going to find out, who those players are going to be, what this roster is going to look like, and we're going to get into that here shortly. By like what Elijah tweeted there, because it is a true tweet. Did you have anything to add to that before I take it away?
No, well, yeah. I mean, I appreciate it because there was a lot of hard work being done. It was a lot of guys that had to look themselves in a mirror and improve at the infancy of their career. Like, look at the names that we had: Vassell, Grant Taylor, Chase Mydroff, Kyle Teal, Edgar Cuero, Colson Montgomery. Those are hatchlings. Like Pat Murphy said about Miss Roski, he's a hatchling. He still has the yolk on him. So these guys not only just left the nest, but they've had the accountability to give us some positive results to look for. Because as a White Sox fan, we've had to trust the process and just respect the rebuild without none of our core players getting better at the foundation. We watched Kyle Teal and Edgar Cuero. I'm going to talk about Teal a little later in the show because he has turned into my favorite player on the entire roster. And it's odd because I'm an outfielder. So usually I gravitate towards, shortstops, outfielders as far as like being my guy. Moncada was one of the exceptions because, that's just the boy. But long story short, Gonzo, I'm happy. It'd probably be too much to ask for another 20-win increase on the season. But what if they do give us a 9 to 12 win increase? You know what I'm saying? That's literally 55 to 65% increase. So we could literally have another positive Gonzo conversation about your Chicago White Sox. Now, we did end up with another 100-loss season, like we said in the opening, but there is a definite silver lining to this situation now.
Yeah, no, there is. And as we get into it, I'll just say we're supposed to have Todd Welter on. He did have an emergency. He might join us, he might not, but even if he doesn't, we'll reschedule with Todd. OJ is at the CHSN end of the season party, and we do have Jay's cat joining us as well.
Look, man, stay focused, okay? Because I'm about to snap.
Oh, and Slavko, yeah, that's okay.
She thinks I got my belt on.
Slavko I think he's on a little nice fishing trip, if I saw right.
Yeah, bro.
So,
He's
okay.
been living his best life. And like people talk about touching grass often, Slavko been touching some grass. Like the pictures that he's had have been spectacular, bro.
Yeah. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here. Right, within an hour of us going live, Venable, Gats and Company.
That was a doozy.
Yeah, Venable and Gats Company, they got to work right away. At the end of the day, the Cats lab has ended, Marcus Thomas lab has ended, and so on and so on. Oh, by the way, Sergio Santos, Charlotte's head coach.
Who'd you say?
Sergio Santos. Sorry, Sergio, if you want to be pronouncing it right. Yeah, his contract wasn't renewed, so he's not going to be in Charlotte, and we're not going to get any of those amazing Charlotte Knights promotional reels.
Oh, those be the best.
Those made my day every single. It felt like every other week from when the second half opened up. When second half of baseball, that was our best half. But hopefully, whoever takes over, that's going to be interesting. Who's going to take over in Charlotte? Or how they're going to redo that level of coaching. But as far as pitching coach, hitting coach coming up, listen, this is clearly Will Venable taking over the reins, and he gets to fill out his staff, right? He started going into this year, there was already some guys held over from, the previous I won't say administration, but the previous, with Grafal. But it's even better, allow Venable to take over the reins on who he wants to be completely on his staff. It's going to be interesting. And does that mean that it's going to be all Venable, or are we going to see maybe Will lean on Ryan Fuller to maybe, from his side of it, an Orioles, or even on the pitching side, does that mean that Brian Bannister is going to have some say, or is this, like I said, is this all going to be Venable? What do you think? What do you think, Jay?
Well, the last time we had a live show at KG's place, remember,
Mhm.
I didn't even want Venable to be the manager. I literally threw a fit because Phil Nevin, of all people, wasn't named the manager. Now we could fast forward to a point to where not only has Will Venable proved me wrong, but he set a foundation with his fingerprints all over the lineup.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to get former ball players. I know Tim's was a former ball player. He's gone too. But another interesting situation, Drew Butera, and you could thank Ken WO for tweeting this out just a few minutes ago. I've seen it, and he brought up a good point that his brother was asking, why the hell are you firing Drew Butera if both of the fucking catchers have the potential to be 4 WAR players in a full season? Like, that's unheard of, and you got them basically for free. I think you let Drew stay a little bit longer to see that out, but at the end of the day, like you said, is Will Venable's job to pick him. I don't think he's going to lean on Fuller. I feel like Getz tasked him with the responsibility of building a major league coaching staff instead of scraping the bottom of the barrel, fucking going to pluck guys from the minor leagues. Maybe this is Will's opportunity to show them that the White Sox are ready to take it step by step. Because if you keep throwing the word rebuild around and you keep making it known that you're in a place of non-comp, the White Sox weren't in a position to compete with after Pedro Grifol with Pedro Grifol. Now you're building the blocks to do that. I would hope he will be aggressive in making these moves. I don't want to see any situation to where he chooses his coaching staff and then 2.5 years down the road we're still talking about the development and all of that, not the White Sox going out to aggressively spend money to help this team perform. Because, like you said, and I know I'm being long winded, but you said, Gonzo, the leap between 60 and 80 wins, a lot of stuff got to happen in your favor. Well, one of the things in your favor is injecting this team with talent. Now, there's 2 ways to get talent, obviously, free agency, but the nucleus, and you got to get better in house. So Will Venable has to continue the trend of the White Sox getting better in-house before we can think about any third party or mercenaries coming to put us over the top. Although I am all in with Pete Alonso hitting home runs on 35th next season. I rest my case.
I had someone else put an interesting tweet out there. I'm not sure how much you paid attention to Adrian White's tweets. He's another,
Minimal.
yeah, he's another young, aspiring content creator. Well, he put a good tweet out there. He said, uh, I got to give people their credit when it's due, because again, few people actually give credit out, but we'll give credit out. So Adrian White says, I'd keep an eye on Donnie Ecker. He was the Rangers hitting coach before being let go in May and previously worked on the same staff as Venable. Um, wouldn't be surprised if he's a candidate for the hitting coach role. Valid, very valid. We'll see. I mean, there should be a good selection here coming up. As we all know, from the teams that are in the postseason, the people that didn't make it are going to make their cuts, and even those playoffs, those postseason teams, I'm sure they'll make some moves too after the World Series is over with. But it is nice to see that, right off the get-go that Venable and Getz and company, they hit the ground running. So,
Would it be in poor
yep,
taste if I said I want Todd Stevenson back?
yes.
Why?
Just, I don't even know any. That's a good question. Who from the past? would be worthwhile to run.
I'm just speaking about what my White Sox offense looked like while he was the hitting coach. I was addicted to watching White Sox baseball. I was literally addicted because we literally had waiver wire pickups putting in work. Literally, Brian Goodwin, Billy Hamilton, Opie hitting 274, slugging 430. Absolute demon. Literally, with minuscule, like, we got to I know the slash line tells a story, and there's mountains of data, but we got to go back to respecting just the individual hit stat. Like, if I got a team, okay, they strike. If you're fifth, I would love to have a team that's seventh in strikeouts, but they'll be third in hits in the league, especially with how young the White Sox are. The fact of the matter is we've won 19 plus games by just basically, and I don't want to take anything away from Vassell, anybody else in the bullpen, but the fact that the White Sox literally give birth to base runners every game. There's people on base. There's kids running wild. Kyle Teal is my favorite player on the White Sox because I love watching him run the bases. He's a madman. Aggressive, smart. Like, I don't have to worry about if Kyle Teal picks up the third base coach. I don't have to worry about if Kyle Teal checks his outfielders before every pitch, especially in 2-0, 3-1 counts. Like, I don't have a problem. Like, listen, Kyle Teal is my catcher, Gonzo, and I have no problem with him pinch running for any player on that team.
You know, I wanted to save the Teal talk later on, but since you mentioned
you got me worked up.
I know. I totally agree with you on that. But for the sake of conversation, I'm going to save Teal for a little bit later. But it's a valid.
I can't stop talking about Kyle Teal.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And again, I'm going to get to it in a second. Because I want to get into more so as conversations as the 2025 season goes. Jay, let's start with I want to start negative first and then go positive. Tell me from your eyes, what was the most disappointing thing of this 2025 season?
Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
Luis Robert.
Fuck. He took mine too.
Fast. I mean, but look, listen.
Yeah,
go ahead. You put my Kyle Teal talk on the shish kebab. Now we got to have a real conversation that we've been having for 3 fucking years. 3 years we've been having this conversation about Luis Robert.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
You
don't even gotta be the guy.
Stevenson. Keep going.
Like, Gonzo, I love Luis Robert. I love what he represents, right? But this is a year where you're gonna get money in your pocket. You're gonna be comfortable where you're playing. All you have to do is hold yourself accountable. A sub 700 OPS, Gonzo?
Yep.
And you had the audacity to steal all these bags? Come on, bro.
So this is a good point, because before the news came out of the coaching staff, I was going to begin this starting topic of what to do with Luis Robert Jr. Like, gets completely speaking out of his mouth about keeping him because he wants there to be a value for a trade to be, is this whole fluff coming out of his mouth about picking up the option. But yeah, I know I'm completely with you. But along those lines, bro, like, what has, besides stealing bases, like, even like just push the offense to the side, even on the defensive side, What have you done with your body of work defensively to get better as a player in the outfield? What has he done? He's still not setting up at all on fly balls hit out to the outfield, hitting that cutoff man. Things that we preach over and over and over again. It's just so frustrating. I mean, like, this is something that you would think he would be doing on his own in the offseason to get better, and we haven't seen it. Like, if I saw that, I think I might, I would have a little bit more leeway with this whole option thing, because we did see in the second half what he was doing on the offensive side, but that was it. So yeah, it puts you in a really rough position on, because I'll take that a step further. When you're trying to build a culture, how are you going to build that culture when you're paying a guy 20 plus million for regression?
What's the difference between Luis Robert and Patrick Williams from the Bulls?
Yep.
I love their defense. Yeah,
Right.
but that box score leaves a lot to be desired.
Yep.
Especially from a standpoint of how much significance you have to the overall team's success. Like, we need you to be good for us to be good.
Yeah.
Like
Don't get me wrong.
a 661 OPS, Gonzo.
Yeah.
33 stolen bases and less than 400 at bats, Gonzo. Imagine if he applied himself. I'm not asking you to play every game. I'm not even asking you to stay healthy, but stay accountable.
Yep.
That's it. Stay
If
accountable.
If that's done, it'd be so easy to stomach that 20 plus million.
Okay. Can I give you a couple of rapid fire questions?
Go ahead.
Do you think Colson Montgomery is accountable?
Yes.
What about Grant Taylor? You think Grant Taylor will hold himself accountable for this year's performance?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get a little bit younger. You think Hagen Smith held himself accountable when command completely failed him in the middle of summer?
Yep.
What about Noah Schultz?
I'm sure he will after he comes back from his knee surgery.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
the competitor in them, especially Noah Schultz. Not only am I a little bit banged up, but the results haven't been there, like, in real time. He blames himself, and at the end of the day, he's going to come back from this knee surgery, just like Chris Sale came back from a plethora of surgeries, and they're going to get back to who they are and who they want themselves to be.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Earlier in the year, Caleb Bonham had a tough time pulling the ball in the air with authority. He didn't shy away from that battle. Even though he was still getting on base, Gonzo, he was still giving me quality of contact. He found a void in his game, and look where that took him. Caleb Bonham pulling the ball in the air equals what? A guy that's rising up prospect charts all over the nation. Shout out again to our boy Elijah, because he put me on Caleb, and Ball CPU Raymond Powell of Ray's Juke Joint. They put me on Bonham. And going back and looking at the tail of the tape, Gonzo, he didn't have to get pull happy. He didn't have to shrink his strike zone in the minor leagues when they're giving him fucking cock shots. He didn't have to shrink his strike zone to make sure that he's getting that pitch isolated in that spot so he could pounce. Imagine this, Gonzo, a right-handed power bat, because we have to call him a power bat due to the metrics, a right-handed power bat on the infield, still shrinking the strike zone enough to where he's getting pitches to pull with authority. Like, do you know how much of the outer third you have to sacrifice off jump just to put that plan in place? He's an amazing hitter. Amazing. And he's accountable. He's not even sniffing the major leagues right now. But I'm looking at what, $26 million on the option. Give me a 661 OPS with double-digit home runs.
Yeah.
Over 30 bags. You're just basically a juiced up Jose Caballero at this point. You're just the overpaid Jose Siri at this point. Not, you know what? Let me stop. This was a positive podcast.
That's okay. I'm gonna reel you back a little bit, but before I reel you back,
Thank you. Please.
you brought up Caleb Bonham. I can't wait, man. I can't wait till he gets
You
up.
thirsty, aren't you?
I am. That's a cornerstone right there. Whether that's going to be at third base or first base, we'll see.
Leave that hole open at third, because the only reason why I say
hold on. We're
right,
gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna save that for later. I asked you the negative, so again, I'm reeling you back. Time to flip the script.
All right, good man. Please,
Justin. Now you can go on with the agenda. Yeah. What is your most impressed, or what? Sorry, I didn't even drink yet. What most impressed you about this team from the 2025 season?
Well, we've done it, boys. We finally got the White Sox to think in modern day. Now, I'm an old head. No, see, listen. You literally interrupted me, Juan. I'm not gonna lie, Juan. You're disgusting. But Gonzo, get that off the screen, please. Thank you. We live in a time now where you can hit both of your catchers, Gonzo.
Mm-hmm.
And like neither one of our catchers is Cal Raleigh. So what benefit do we have with the White Sox starting both of their catchers? Oh, it's the fact that they both have a plan. They both are ready. They both understand the nature of the game. A man on second base, no outs. I want either one of my catchers at the plate. They're going to get a job done. I could ask both of my catchers to bunt. Think about this. In less than 300 plate appearances, Kyle Teal is giving me a 786 OPS. Nobody thought of Kyle Teal's power to be a calling card, but the fact that, God, 375 on base percentage, Gonzo. That's 100 points above your batting average. The man is living on base. You're developing him in real time. So you want to know the positive? I get to develop both catchers at the same time. And I don't have to sacrifice the development of anybody else on the roster. Hell, I don't even have to play Kyle Teal. Remember? Playing him in the outfield, getting them reps at first base. I don't even have to do that because I could just DH Kyle Teal or I'll just DH Cuero. And your pitching staff don't lose because they both know how to handle a staff. They both know how to throw behind runners, especially when you're a team like the White Sox who still have pitchers that are slow to home plate when it's time to deliver a baseball, right? We're not going to hide that. That's just our natural, that's stuff that we're not good at right now. It's a slide step. But at the end of the day, my catcher's bail is out. So, yeah, that's the positive, to put a big fat bow on this, Gonzo. I love both of my catchers.
All right, you said both, so continue further with Cuero. I want to hear your thoughts on Cuero and kind of take it a step further from our last podcast because I think we talked about this combo.
Yeah, so what I like most about Cuero is the fact that he's basically exactly what I said he was. He's Toronto Blue Jays' Greg Zahn, a switch-hitting catcher who can put the bat on the baseball in any situation. If you're looking for power, you're looking in the wrong direction. Look at how many games Cuero had 4 for 5, 3 for 4. Like, he's the type of guy who can just absolutely destroy a starting pitcher's plan, because Edgar Cuero is one of the reasons why pitchers stay in the stretch, Gonzo. And you know how I love opposing pitchers being in the stretch. I don't care what type of talent you are. I don't care if you're Cy Young or not. My job as a hitting coach or as Jay Targaryen playing the show, keep these guys in the stretch. Jose Cuero is part of that plan. 98 hits in 365 at-bats, Gonzo. This is a guy who's not even slugging. He's not even slugging 360, Gonzo.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody on the Blackout Show broadcast knows he's going to slug more. He's going to hit. He's going to have more doubles. Not home runs per se, because he doesn't really take big swings like Alejandro Kirk. What I want at his ceiling, I want him to be 2025 Alejandro Kirk. You don't even have to give me 20 home runs. Lump the base hits together and be a monster with runners in scoring position. That's why I love Cuero, because, you know, in them Sunday lineups when the American League gets funky and they literally have the 8th best hitter batting cleanup, because that's the way we roll over here. Imagine Edgar Cuero on a 10-game hitting streak batting cleanup on a Sunday afternoon. You'll ride with that shit. Especially when you got right-handed, I would say right-handed slug in front of him, because 9 times out of 10, you'll be facing a left-handed pitcher. So I want a right-handed power bat in front of him with Cuero batting cleanup, because you know why? You're going to have to throw him strikes. Come to him. Remember those days when AJ batted cleanup and everybody was freaking out? He only has 12 home runs this year. Yeah, so what? He's beating the hell out of baseballs and he's hitting a lot of strikes. So put him in a position to see strikes. You don't even need Savant for that type of thinking. Oh, man, Will Venable gave me Teal and Cuero batting back-to-back. I almost got naked in there.
No, that was something that, like, it was kind of sad that it came at the end of the year, because I was kind of hoping that you'd see that, you know, earlier in the season. But
Bro,
the fact that we at least saw it, listen, it worked, and we're gonna see how 2026 begins. Because again, we can go back and forth on end of the season with Getz and company, but again, starting both Teal and Cuero back to back. Let's see how Colson does with his adjustments coming into 2026. Things are going to get interesting. But say the least here, Jay, you stole my negative and positive, so I'm going to have
Swiper, no swiping.
I'm going to have to do a little combo here on my next question.
Oh, yeah.
My next
You want fries
question.
with that?
My next question was, what's the key aspects you want to see accomplished in the 2025 offseason? So me personally, I'm combining my positive with my key aspect. And this is it, folks. And I think Juan here in the chat is actually in my mind, because he heard what I said last podcast.
You
And
know Juan be reading people's mind.
that is this. My key aspect is 8 years, $70 million. Kyle Teal gets extended.
Ooh.
That is my key aspect of this offseason. Before I get into the nitty gritty of this, I was listening to the recap with Guff, and I think he had Hoodie on, and with Brian. I think it was the three of them, and they were talking about this offseason and spending a shitload of money. And one comment I took away, and I respect the hell out of Guff, Brian, and company, but they said that they don't see anybody on this roster that they want to do extensions right now. And I wholeheartedly disagree. If we have to go back to the numbers, in 78 games, like you were alluding to, Jay, he hit 273, 375 OBP, 411 slug, 786 OPS with 121 OBS plus. He was nasty. This is your catcher. You're trying to build up the middle of your diamond, and you locked. Granted, right? We acquired 2 talents, Teal and Cuero. One with the trade with the Angels, one with the Red Sox, and you scouted Teal in that draft. you were hoping to lock down 1, and it looks like you hit the head on 2. But wholeheartedly, Teal impressed. You locked the center of that diamond with your catcher to begin. And we're not going to say, I'm going to say rebuild because we're still on the up, getting ourselves out of it.
I love you.
But you locked the middle up. Now you can focus up the middle with short and center and the outfield. I can tell you this. I think Fauski is going to be in center. I really do. I think depending on how I really think we're going to draft Cholowiski out of UCLA. I think that's going to be a very good competition with Carlson and him at short. Depending, and we're going to get into nitty gritties here. I know I saved Bonner out for later because of this whole bigger picture conversation we're going to have soon. But up the middle is starting to look really good in the future. And unfortunately, again, I didn't bring up Colson yet. I'm going to save that for a little bit later here.
You got
But
a lot in the microwave, Dad.
I've got a lot in the microwave, but I'm here to tell you that Kyle Teal extension, not only do you do it because, again, Guff said it hasn't worked for you in the past. Well, let me tell you, that was the last front office. This is a totally different front office. And what not better to do than to lock the money up with where your mouth is, with what the development that you've put into place, and say, hey, we're gonna put our money, instead of overpaying free agents, we're gonna start putting that money into our development. And we're starting with Kyle Teal. And you talk about building a culture, you talk about why I wouldn't give Luis Robert Jr. the option money, because when we build this culture, we're gonna put it out there that, hey, we're serious about this. We're spending money on our development. What is that going to make Cuero, Colson, Carlson, Bonham, Wolkow, all these cats coming up through this system? What is that going to make them do? It's going to make them bust their ass off coming through that system, so that when they do hit the majors and they do get off the ball right off the ground running, that they're going to get paid too. That is how you start building this culture of winning.
Yeah, but
And you're doing the development, you're doing the scouting to know who these guys are that you're about to pay.
Yep. And I was gonna say, like, you're putting them in a position to where, look who the manager is. I don't know if Will Venable will be here in the time of contention, right? Because we've seen what happened to Ricky Renteria. He's a professional. So he's going to groom these guys into being major league ball players, regardless if they scratch their ceiling or not. If you could get a player, even if they fall short of what they're supposed to be in the absolute ceiling, if you could get them to be a niche player and find a role and help a ball club win, like, you don't know where that could propel you. Gonzo, Steven Pierce won a fucking World Series MVP with the Red Sox. Think about that. As a role player, as a guy who probably wouldn't be on the roster. Like, you're literally a trade deadline acquisition, right? That's the area, the species of player when you hit that climax. Like, who's to say Caleb Bonham isn't that guy? Sam Antonacci. Who says he's not that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm Will Venable and I got all of these toys I'm not even going to say toys, but all of these players, versatile, athletic, hungry, we could play plug and play all day. Gonzo, they're calling Brooks Baldwin White Leary, and he's better than Leary. Think about that. Leary was the last guy to hit a home run for the White Sox in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. What if Brooks Baldwin, fast forward this timeline, hits the next home run for the White Sox in the playoffs? All because he's versatile, switch hitter, young, athletic, got a little pop.
Yeah.
There's opportunity with creativity. And like I said, with both of the catchers being in the lineup, these White Sox team, this is not Rick Hahn's team. Chris Getz' White Sox are athletic, thirsty, prepared. Like, we laugh when Pedro Grifol said that to open up the season, when this team lost 100 games, and I could tell you with these green eyes, these right here, I could tell you with these green eyes that Will Venable's White Sox are prepared every night to kick your ass.
Before I ask you the next question, what is your key aspect of the offseason?
Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, and I'll tell you why. He's a Boris client. I don't think the next contract he signed will be a long-term contract. I feel like as a first baseman, a power hitter, he could get another contract after his age 33 season if he does good this offseason, right? I think the White Sox should make an Adam Dunn type deal for Pete, because you can have him play first base. And until Caleb Bonham is ready, you can have Miguel Vargas play third base. You still got Brian Ramos. Me, Jay Tarbarian, I want Pete Alonso in the lineup in 2026 for the White Sox. Now, I don't know if we're going to be outbid if it comes down to that. But in the same token, there are people in the past, like Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, who are okay with playing on the South Side. I hope that Pete Alonso is on the table for the White Sox. I want to see that right-handed thumb. Can you imagine? Kyle Teal, Pete Alonso, Colson Montgomery. Switch the order up. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you do. Jumble the numbers, jumble the lineup. I don't care. But Pete Alonso, Colson Montgomery for 550 to 600 at-bats apiece.
I'm just going to say I don't think Ishbia is going to be outbidded, but I just don't think the length of that contract is going to fit into the window that Getz is trying to build right now. I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Hold on. Donnie's on my side.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not sure if you saw. I'm not sure if Donnie saw the Owen Canerico news, but Owen's a full commit to University of Michigan. Good job to Owen.
He could have went to Ohio State.
All right, we got a little bit of time left here.
Yeah, come on. What you got, Daddy? Come on, cook it up.
2 more for you. All right. What? So I saw that the 108 guys were talking about adding a Fram bar into this rotation. And quite frankly, I'm saying spend money on your development. I would not start that off with signing a big, or, an arm to a big deal to begin this, this core. Because I'm not sure if you guys realize this, but this 2026 pitching rotation is going to be, there's going to be a lot of arms to come up with 5. Again, you can say what you want about Cannon, right, with his collapse of the second half. I think that they're still going to give him a shot at the rotation to begin off next season. So you got Cannon, right? You got, let's see, who else we got here? Davis Martin. You've got one more year on the deal with Martin Perez. You've got Shane Smith.
Rule 5 guy.
You've got, McDougal.
Tanner.
You've got Mason Adams coming off the IR. You got Thorpe coming off the IR. That's at least 7 guys right there. And I think they're going to leave Grant Taylor as probably the closer to eat innings next year. But eventually you're going to throw him into the 8 mix probably
You've been talking
the
with
following
your
year.
hands all night.
I know. I know. And we didn't even talk about, hey, what happens if Hagen Smith has an outstanding spring training? What happens if Noah Schultz has an outstanding spring training? Granted, both of them will probably end up in the minors to start the year because of the control, on their contract control. But that doesn't mean they're not going to come up at some point in 2026. So you've got at least another 8 to 9 arms in this mix. So no, I don't think they're going to be signing big money for a pitcher to come into that rotation. I think this is what you're going to get, as it should be. Like, these are the guys you're developing. This is when you start to say, hey, this guy's going to be in our mix for the foreseeable future, or they're not going to cut it. They might be a long reliever. They might be in our bullpen, or they might be tradable, right? That's what they're going to be having to decide with their assessment on this pitching staff. You got anything to add?
Yeah, and I think that's why we're going to a whole new coaching staff, because I think they want to get a new set of eyes and a new regime evaluating this part of the rebuild. I want to talk about Jonathan Cannon a little bit. I'm not going to get into the numbers, but I'm just going to talk about what I've seen. He's very necessary for the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, I don't think I add Sean Burke, but yeah, sorry. Go.
Oh
go.
yeah, Sean Burke, who just K10 in our nation's capital this weekend. Yep. Don't want to forget him, by God. Because hey, I'm not gonna lie. So the TV was telling me he was throwing the four seam, but the amount of run that baseball had, it got on the hitters quick, especially if you're a right-handed hitter facing Sean Burke. Back off the plate, because you're still going to cover the outer third, but you want to give yourself some leverage on that fastball running into you. If you're standing on top of the plate and he's pitching you inside, you got no chance because the ball's on top of you. You're going to have to cheat to get there. But Jonathan Cannon, I understand he threw batting practice the second half of the season. Literally, every team that's seen him got a second round of batting practice. He's a change-up pitcher with a high rate of contact and a high fly ball rate. So what he has to do is he has to figure out how to manipulate hitters' timing. Get them a little bit more out in front of your breaking stuff. Make sure that they're late on your fastball. That's all sequencing. That's counts. I don't have a problem with his tunneling because a lot of the stuff is coming out the hand. It's just you're not going to throw a circle change. You're a big man throwing a circle change in a 2-0 count. What the fuck do you think's going to happen? I'm not looking fastball. I'm not. You're not going to come challenge me with a heater because 9 times out of 10, there's somebody on first and second base. So I look to Jonathan Cannon as one of those guys to, all right, look yourself in the mirror, regroup, let's go. Because you're going to be on the roster. You're going to be in my rotation, and you're going to get over 120 innings next year, for sure. You control the quality. You almost forgot about Sean Burke.
I was too busy rattling off all the people. As you can tell, it's a lot of names
You did use
in the
two
mix.
hands.
I didn't. That was more fingers that I thought I would bring up in this conversation.
Okay, because stop it. Just stop it. Now you got me pointing and shit.
I know. I'm already in bed, so I'm trying to keep track of the fingers.
Yeah.
Pause.
You know what? I need everybody out there to tell Gonzo keep his hands where we can see him, please.
On that note, my last question to you before we wrap this up.
I don't want to wrap it up. I'm having fun.
You saw my hands. All right.
All right. Okay.
My last question is that long-term picture, right? We saw that Coulson has a place on this roster in 2026, right? We're going to give him all the shot of that being a shortstop. I mentioned let's give him some reps at first base for the hell of it, see if that fits him. Because, as I alluded to in our conversation, this mix in this infield is going to be something. Because you got Carlson, and if Cholowitzki, which He's a hell of a. Some people are saying generational talent. Listen,
They told me Justin LeBron was a generational talent.
we are a ways from him being in the pro level. So, but if that is their first pick overall, right? That's a battle at shortstop. I think Carlson's still the better glove. So let's just say one of them is there. You put the other one at second or third, depending on how that goes. You still, I think there's some people that say Joe Whiskey would probably go to third base. Which
No,
if Bonham is at third base right now, let's just say Cholo goes to third. Bonham probably go to first base. So that
no.
listen, you brought up Antonacci being at second, right?
Now I regret it.
This
This
whole
is going.
this whole infield is going to look interesting come 2
No,
or 3 years down the road. But that's all a good problem if it all hits, right?
I don't
So,
want those problems. I don't want it.
but
No.
you can at least see where Chris Getz is going with this
Yes.
roster. So when I say give Colson some reps at first, it's because you don't know how things are going to play out here in 2 or 3 years.
Well, they
Things
already
are going to
fucking
get
gave they
interesting.
gave you a hint in Tampa when Colson was playing third, Gonzo. Like, think about this,
Yeah,
right?
but that was the hot
Go ahead.
corner. The hot corner
Yeah,
showed its place for him at third.
yeah. He could be a good third baseman. I don't care about the miscues. He could be a good third baseman. Think about
He's
this.
got athleticism, but
He got soft hands. He has a strong throwing arm.
yeah,
He's good enough. If you're good enough to play an everyday shortstop right now, like, think about this. Colson Montgomery is 6'3", 230, right?
hmm
Austin Riley, do you think he's a good third baseman? Yep.
yeah.
6'2", 225. Like, there's going to be an all-out war because when Bill Carlson comes up, because he's the type of player, and I compared him to Zach Cozart, is what you see is what you're going to get. He in Rob Manfred's league, the young players touch their ceiling a lot sooner than years past. If Billy Carlson comes up, let's just say, his first cup of coffee, 315 at bats, 10 home runs, 760 OPS, fucking a billion defensive run saves. That's going to be an issue for Colson playing shortstop. I have no issue Colson Montgomery going forward to be a third baseman because what he's slugging this year and the amount of power in his bat, if you're asking him to be offensively just around Kyle Seager for the Seattle Mariners, I love it. I'm absolutely in love with it. And that's not a slash line argument. That's just, what are you on the hook for? 25 home runs, 75 to 90 driven in, 790 to 860 OPS. I'm not asking you to have career years 2 out of the 10 years you're with us, but I'm asking you to represent the position. Colson Montgomery could be a great profile at third baseman if we got to come to that. But we got Sam Antonacci, Caleb Balmer, Colson Montgomery, even Chase Mydroff hold the shortstop fort down for a little bit. And that's a guy who's, me and you both know, he ain't going to be south side for long.
I think he'll be soft side, but like I said, when I put him in that chart I posted, I put him at utility for a reason.
Yeah, because he can play all three infield positions. And the fact that he's still going to carry a 340 to 380 on base, I mean, you just don't want to discard that, especially when you can build his niche for off the bench. Like, if you got Chase Mydroff coming off the bench, that's good. That's great value for a player of his species. The Pirates are bad because they got to give Nick Gonzalez 500 at bats instead of 380, instead of 290. You know what I'm saying? Imagine statistically what Chase Mydroff will look like in a 310 at bat season.
I'm just saying, if what I think it comes down to across the whole diamond is probably Cholowiski at third, Carlson short, Antonacci, Bonnemer at first, your boy Colson in left field, Faust
That man
center.
Sam Antonacci is a pain in the ass to pitch. So,
Yes, he is. Faustski in center, Braden in right. I think that's
oh,
if everything hits, that's what I'm thinking
let
it
me
could
ask
look
you a
like.
question,
Yep.
and let's just say we're gonna get ahead of ourselves probably a few years. Braden Montgomery has 517 at bats. Give me a home run and OPS number.
Of who, you said?
Braden Montgomery, 517 at bats. Think about how old he'll be at that point to where he's getting 500 at bats. We're talking about 2.5 years from now. What would that home run and RBI total be, in your opinion?
I
Yeah.
think he's going to be in that 20 to 25 range.
Hmm. You know who I see in Braden Montgomery? Wilyer Abreu. They're the same guy.
Nothing's wrong about that either.
Especially with Abreu stealing more bags than his profile led on.
Hmm.
Like people scoffed at the fact that Soto, oh, they're giving 30 stolen bases away. Do you know how hard it is to to get a stolen base when you're that build? Soto doesn't have extreme acceleration. He doesn't have great speed. So he has to be engaged with the game
Yeah.
100% of the time to steal 30 bags. Abreu 2. Braden Montgomery 2. Jaden Foss 2. 2. Like, these are guys, like Jaden Foss is going to be a big kid that's going to average 20 stolen bases because of his motor. Think about that, Gonzo. Large. He should have. He was supposed to be a catcher. Now he's going to be your center fielder. 470 OPS. 22 stolen bags. 21 home runs. 70 RBI. On base percentage 363. Batting average 251. Once people realize that speed and slug got to match up in Rob Manfred's league, then they'll catch on. But they're going to be stuck because most of the people that they expect to slug don't got the speed. And they're not going to look for the speed in the people that could slug. So they're just catching their tails. All right, because Gonzo's trying to fucking get out of here on me. So I'm just going to tell you people. Before we got on, me and Gonzo was talking about like fantasy baseball trades that we're gonna make in the off season. We're literally gonna switch the rules to where we can fucking make trades in the off season. Gonzo, you know why I want Tatis from this guy in our comments. Speed and slug.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna overpay for Ronald Acuna. No.
Yeah, he's talking to you, Juan, and
Yeah.
he wants back the guy he let go.
God, I traded away Tatis and won a championship.
Well, shout out to Juan.
Why did you have to say that? Like I'm
Because
literally still here.
he's putting me right onto the brink of shout outs. So
No,
shouting out Juan.
no.
Yeah. That's all I got for who I need to shout out besides Don Garcia and everyone else in the baseball toss. Thank you
You're
for
forgetting somebody.
commenting. I had a great weekend with my fiance, Michigan State's formal.
Yeah, let's go. Talk about it.
What else? What else? You got anybody else?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get the easy one out first. I'm gonna give a
Mhm.
shout out to Asia. Knee deep in orders again. We're coming up on the fall time, so you're getting ready for uh, playoff baseball. The Bears are winning. At the end of the day, Gonzo, like I always talk about, like wake me up when September ends. This is the best year for sports fans. because you
Yep.
got baseball playoffs, football just started, and you got the idea that the NBA is still important. Just the idea, right? We get to work ourselves into the ground, punch a clock, get paid, and still have all of this shit that we can, ingest and inject ourselves just to decompress. Like I love the fall time this time of year. I have to give a shout out to Ben Johnson because you absolutely called a virtuoso in the second half. And I'm glad you didn't switch up any of the play call because at the end of the day, when you have to shove a football down somebody's throat, whether you're winning or losing, that's just an obligation that you had to do. And you shoved the football down the Raiders' throat while you were down 5 on the road. I appreciate that as a fan. Gonzo, I got to give a shout out to you guys on the Blackout Show because this is just another season. We turn the page. The White Sox are a little bit better than trash. We're better than the Rockies. I still think we're a better team than the Pirates. But you guys made this year fun. I met a lot of new people. Injected a lot of different White Sox content while being involved with this podcast. And, it's euphoric. Like literally, I'm texting the group chat with you guys, you OJ, Slavko. Uh, I need fucking Blackout Show. Like, we're not doing anything complicated. We're sitting here and reflecting. This was an outstanding year for the Blackout Show and for the Chicago White Sox, even though we lost 100 games. So shout out to you guys for giving me an opportunity and a habitat to enjoy some of the best things that I love about Chicago. And I can't wait to talk about Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze on this platform because we got to bear down. Sucker.
And with that being said, tune in for more off-season content. Chris Getz is going to spice things up, and so are we. We got some things coming your way. But please like, share, follow on all platforms that you follow. And again, thank you for watching The Blackout.